Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We are here with Dr. Manish Motwani, who is the AI Task Force Lead for SCCT. Myself, Anam Waheed, and
And
Alan
Alan Vainrib.
are here as representatives of the FiRST Committee. So I'm going to start with asking Manish about what his perspectives on AI and cardiac CT are.
Well, I think it's a fascinating time. We're at a time of incredible change. The pace of change in AI and CT is phenomenal. If you think even only a few years ago, if I told you we'd have full, almost turnkey solutions, near autonomous reporting of coronary CT with all the bells and whistles, plaque-based FFR, CT, radiomics, beautiful, complex reports. We're now at the point where those reports are being instilled into full-on text reports direct from images with natural language processing. So this is a phenomenal time, basically. It's really, the pace of change is huge. That's my main takeaway from AI. The robots are rising. They're not replacing us just yet, but they're around the corner. Okay, so they're knocking on our door. So I think it's important that we are all aware of these tools, understand how they work, because they're going to be in our practice in the next few years as the mainstay, really.
It's very, very exciting and really interesting. With all this rapid advancement in AI and the technology, how do we validate the tools and how do we make sure that they're clinically accurate and doing the right thing?
Yeah, that's a really difficult one because if you think of all the equipment used in a hospital, I mean, things are validated, but are we putting too much emphasis on really scrutinizing this to the nth level? And I think we are because we're a little bit scared of AI. It's not something that's necessarily intuitive or familiar to us. So we keep asking, is this validated? What's the study? Is it prospective? How big is the study? And it's important that we're asking those questions. But at some point, you just have to read the music and start, using these tools that can save you time, but keeping a watchful eye on them. Probably the most useful thing is to do this at an institutional level. To pick your AI that suits your practice, really pick it apart as your team, um, and see that it works for you, that it's validated with you. Never just buy an AI into your practice and then say that's it, we're done. Get a trial, get a demo, really pick it apart for 6 months to a year, and make sure that it suits you. So I'd say internal, local validation, as well as hoping the various companies and vendors do these big trials to validate it externally.
So obviously, this is a very exciting time to be training in imaging and cardiac
Yes.
CT. But as the field is evolving, I think a lot of us are thinking about how training should be evolving and how we should equip our trainees to really critically use AI tools, and then what's in the future.
Yeah, I think this is an important point. I mean, CT, cardiac CT has always been at the has always been pushing the boundaries in technology. Whether it be more advanced hardware, more advanced processing, reconstructions, radiation, dose reduction. So AI is just the next step in that chapter. So we shouldn't fear it, but the aspect you bring up about training is important, because if you only start using AI from point zero, you will never have any idea of when it's veered off its tracks or there's some problem. The same sort of applies with even if you've never seen basic cardiac CT and the artifacts that happen on a 64 slice scanner. If you've only trained on photon counting CT, you don't have that legacy of data to understand when something's gone wrong or a particular artifact. And the same applies to AI. So if you're training in CT, it's important that you do things manually, learn how to do the reconstruction, still go through the nuts and bolts, so that you've got a watchful eye on these technologies that are moving around you.
With the popularity of CT growing and our volumes growing, and a lot of readers are sort of burning out, what do you think the impact on AI and on our workflows and how that will influence how we practice?
Well, I think it's huge. And if I take the UK as example, only 2% of radiology departments are fully staffed, so which is 98% of departments have a shortage. Okay, I think in the US it's something like there's a 42% shortage of radiologists. Okay, so there's a massive workforce supply demand mismatch. And if you think about a radiologist, cardiologist takes anywhere between 10 and 15 years to train. This gap has to be filled by something, and we are actually fortunate that these AI technologies have come along at a time which could help you know help fill that gap somewhat. Okay, so it's important on the gap point of view, and it's important also on the burnout, as you put it. We're having to read more and more cases, but if we have tools that make that slightly easier, or if you think of AI as an assistant or a pal over your shoulder doing second reads, what do you think about this? Then it should reduce the burnout. So I think it's useful in that regard too.
What are some of the key takeaways about AI that you want us to take away from the meeting?
So, I mean, AI drives plaque quantitation. If you look around, I think every session has had something on plaque quantitation. So that is beyond human. It's not beyond human cognition. You could spend an hour quantifying plaque manually, uh, but we have the tools now to do that in a few clicks, and we're seeing how staging plaque burden, how it impacts prognosis, and this is something we have known for a long time, but we've kind of ignored. We've obsessed about stenosis because that's something we can see very quickly, visually, and we've not had the tools to tell someone what their total plaque volume is. Okay, so it's really important that we know AI is driving plaque quantitation, which is a whole new kind of era for CT. Um, and I think the second takeaway is we have to think what we want to be as imagers, because there will come a point where you'll get a report. It'll tell you what the stenosis is. It'll tell you what the plaque biology is, the function is. So what's left for us to do? The most important thing for us to do is contextualize all of that, go back to the patient, and link that up with their symptoms. So as imagers, we have to interpret the interpretation that AI is giving us, which is a new skill that we have to learn. So those would be my main takeaways.
There's a lot of talk about AI in terms of its ability to analyze images, but I think people don't think exactly about the potential use of AI for data and the massive capability of it for use to analyze our own reports and to have a real-time idea of how we perform compared to, for example, invasive angiography, or at our own institution, we use it to track our halt rates and compare that to what's in the published literature. So, what do you think about its ability to for data and for looking at our performance?
So, I mean, AI checking AI, I mean, that would complete the cycle. I would say, I mean, I don't know too much about that, but I would say, it makes sense. These data tasks are what AI is built for. Okay, that's literally what machine learning does. It can look at data, find patterns. Um, so, I'd be all for that. And more than just the data and auditing, you have to think of your imaging being just one piece of your electronic patient record. So if you think of all the data that's in the record of each patient, it's absolutely huge. So imagine, taking your cardiac CT data, linking that up with, genetic data that might be in the EPR, their risk factors, their zip code, their attendance rate, and all of these things, can be integrated together. That's the other power of machine learning, to integrate massive amounts of data to give a signal, and put factors together that you might not think actually had an impact, that are beyond human cognition. So, yes, AI data, match made in heaven.
So the question everyone keeps on asking us is, do you think AI is going to replace cardiovascular imagers?
Yep, we may as well go home. No, I think as I said to you, our role has to change, is what we have to accept. So what we are doing, now we have to accept we will not be doing. Okay? We will not be scrutinizing a stenosis to decide whether it's 45% or 55% because we're sweating as to what to tell the interventionist. Okay? We will acknowledge there is a stenosis, and our technology will tell us what it is, and that's so well validated across multiple suppliers that there's no need for us to do that. Okay, so the tasks that we are doing on a daily basis will change. Okay, but we won't be out of a job. We need to do something, but we need to change our role. And the good thing is our role will be actually more interface with the patient than it has been for some time. Because we've been hunched over our computers, manually processing a lot of things that we now have task-based AI to sort out. So, medicine's coming a little bit full circle. We'll be more in touch with the patient, perhaps, than we have been for many years.
That brings up a very, very important topic within AI of human in the loop. And right now, I think we have a lot of requirements for human in the loop. When can we let go? When should we let go and start to ease away from that?
I think, again, it comes down to the particular task. I think the human, it's medicine. The human is always in the loop, okay? The patients are human, we're human, okay? There will always be a human in the loop, okay? Can't sensationalize and overhype AI in that regard. But there will be tasks, as I've said, that we will just let go of. That happens in medicine all the time, okay? Something's automated, we don't do it, okay? Echo, ejection fraction, biplane Simpsons is done. You might tweak a little bit, but you're not spending your time drawing lots of things. Happen in all the modalities and in all aspects of medicine. So, as far as I can see, there'll be a human in the loop at all points, but there'll be tasks that we are deploying to AI just as we deploy and outsource anything.
Thank you very much, Manish.
No
This
problem.
was fantastic.
It was a pleasure. It was enjoyable.
Yeah, it was really, really great.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your time. It was really, really, and we learned a lot.
No problem. I enjoyed it.